recently, I have been binge watching Star Trek The Next Generation with my fiance, and upon reaching the episode Q Who, I was absolutely bewildered because the writing is abysmal, especially when it comes to Captain Picard, who is acting out of character, unfit for command, like an absolute moron, putting the ship and the crew in danger. But despite all that, the episode came with a lot of satisfaction, with catharsis, as Mahler likes to put it. Because after 2 seasons, I see the smug assholes from the Federation getting their teeth kicked in. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, for the first 2 seasons, I would summarize Star Trek as moral busybodies lecturing other people in space. They fly around in their little advanced ships, looking down upon the common mortals of the galaxy with nothing but smugness and contempt. They will reach a planet and then they will start moralizing and go, oh, look at these primitives with their little problems. Oh, they're still doing warfare. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That is so primitive. We don't do warfare anymore. Oh, now we could give them our technology and improve their lives and make them more uplifted. But we're not going to do that because more prime directive, because they're going to use what we give them and they're going to blow themselves up. So we're just going to sit here in space, look at their little problems and judge them. That is pretty much what Star Trek is. It's a couple of assholes flying into their little spaceships and judging everyone. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Okay? The science is in on this. The scientists agree with me. There is a consensus. You're wrong. I'm right. Just rewatch the first 2 seasons if you don't know what I'm talking about. So, it's kind of funny because the reason the Federation is able to do this is that even their exploration vessels have the technology to BTFO almost any other ship from the cosmos. And the other factions that could go toe-to-toe with the Federation have either signed peace treaties or they flat out allied with the Federation. So there's no real enemy that would challenge them until they meet the Borg. And when they meet the Borg, do you know what they do? They immediately decide to arm up. They immediately decide to mass-produce war vessels. They regress and they become like the people that they were smugly judging before. But let's actually analyze the episode and see why, if I was the Admiral, I would have court-martialed Picard for gross incompetence. And if not, straight out kick him off the Starfleet, at the very least, a demotion would have been in order. Now, the episode starts with the entity known as Q. And from humanity's perspective, this is a omniscient and omnipowerful being capable of bending time and reality to its will. So, the clever thing that Picard does is he decides to go sassy with him. He decides to challenge one of the most powerful entities that Starfleet has ever encountered and pretty much wave his Federation cock around, saying how powerful the Federation is and how any challenge that the universe gets to throw at humanity, they will overcome it simply by moralizing at the challenge. Now, I as a viewer am a little bit baffled at the arrogance Picard is displaying here. Again, he is talking with an omniscient being. And the universe is pretty big. You would think that the omniscient being might know of a couple of challenges or two that humanity would not be able to overcome. Which is exactly what Q does. He snaps his fingers and throws the Enterprise into destination fuck you that is called Borg territory. Now, a reasonable person would say, well, I guess Picard doesn't really have a lot of knowledge of this place, so he can't really adapt his tactics. But no, Whoopi Goldberg, which happens to be aboard his ship, tells Captain Picard that Orange Man is bad, and after finishing moralizing to him, she says, look, my people are from this place. There is something really, really bad here called the Borg. You need to get the fuck out. But for some bizarre reason, Captain Picard chooses not to listen to this woman. So like, let me get this straight, all right? Like, Captain Picard is supposed to be an experienced commander, right? Great strategist. He knows that he has pissed off a cosmic entity with phenomenal knowledge, which purposefully sent him into a dangerous part of space. He is being warned by a member of his crew that seems to have come from that dangerous part of space that he needs to get the fuck out. What does he do instead? He decides to go exploring. Because why not? I mean, you know, like, even if that's the case, and you were to say, well, I mean, maybe he wants to relay a transmission to the Federation and tell them, hey, you know, like, there is something powerful out there, and, you know, he wants to gather some data. He doesn't go stealthily about doing things. He doesn't even try to re-establish communications with the Federation. No, he just puts on a lot of bling and decides to go flaunting it off in the most dangerous area of the galaxy. I guess the moral is, do not teach me to protect myself from the Borg, teach the Borg not to assimilate Federation vessels. I don't know what he is thinking, but clearly he makes a bad decision. Now, eventually he finds a Borg cube, and instead of being cautious, because, again, all of the information he has up till now tells him that this place is dangerous, he doesn't try to study it from a distance. He doesn't try to launch a probe. He doesn't try to send a vessel or something. No, he just flats out goes next to it and tries to establish communications. Because that's what he did for 2 seasons. Just talk, moralize every problem away. Now, at this point in the show, the Borg are being hyped up so much that they are going to be retroactively nerfed as the show goes on. Because the description that they give to the Borg in this episode makes them be, in my opinion, one of the most overpowering fictional race in most sci-fi history. Like, okay, so the way they are being described is like, at this point they don't have a queen or anything like that. They are described as being super intelligent to the point of infallibility. The cube is compromised out of billions of drones, and all of these drones, they pitch their brain together and are capable of finding solution to every problem within nanoseconds. Anything you would do against them, they would immediately calculate a counter strategy to whatever it is you're doing, which again is why they eventually have to nerf the Borg as the lore goes on. But at this point, there is absolutely nothing that you could do to them. They have superior weapons, they got superior defenses, they got superior speed. They are so advanced compared to the Federation that they do not consider the people upon the Starfleet to even be life forms. For them, the spaceship Enterprise is just resource. It's like when you have some issues with Patreon or Twitter, but you're such a small blimp on their radar that when you contact their tech support, they just give you a pre-recorded message.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to do so as us.
That's how little the Borg views the Enterprise as. For them, sending a person aboard the Enterprise in order to assess their technology, it's very similar to how you would send a prospector in order to see if there's any silver in the mine. And if there is silver in the mine, but you have to destroy an anthill in order to get inside the mine, you wouldn't even think about it. Like, it wouldn't even register that you're doing this. These are the massive differences of power between these two factions, just so we're clear. Now, again, this could have been known, Khaleesi. Like, Picard was warned about this, but for some reason, he wanted to go close up and personal with the Borg cube. Not even maintain some level of distance. Not even, try to hide from it and watch it from afar. No, he just goes up there so that when the Borg decides, oh yeah, like this ship seems valuable, they can just casually engage their tractor beam and start draining the ship of energy. This could have been avoided had Picard been more stealthy, more cautious. Now, the Borg starts to cut up parts of the ship for processing, and Picard starts firing weapons at it, which don't work. And then Picard says, alright, well, fire the weapons at maximum. So like, at this point, like, my jaw is dropped. Like, I'm trying to understand the strategic depths of Captain Picard. Like, your ship is in danger. You know, your crewmates, the people whose lives are under your care, might die, and you've been holding back? I mean, clearly, they stated their intentions. Like, clearly, they are hostile. Clearly, their ship is bigger than yours. They have you locked. And yet you're like, okay, well, maybe we should hold back just a little bit. I mean, we don't want to hurt them or anything. Like, I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I watching? So, because of Picard's incompetence, and again, like, he should have been court-martialed because 18 people have lost their lives on the sections 27 to 29 on decks 4 to 6. This could have been avoided. Under any normal court-martial, Picard would have been found guilty of gross incompetence. And the incompetence doesn't end here, by the way. No. So, after they fire phasers at max, they manage to destroy parts of the Borg cube. What does Picard do at this point? Calls a conference. Like, no. He doesn't even try to pull his ship to a safe distance. He doesn't even try to get the fuck out of there. Like, even if you were to think that you have managed to BTFO this Borg cube, there is the chance that they might call for reinforcements. Why are you putting the lives of the men on the ship at risk by holding a conference while literally next to the freaking thing? I don't understand, like, and again, like, this is just awful writing because normally Picard is not that dumb. But, you know, like, I get it. The Star Trek universe is not filled with the perils that we can find in the Imperium of Man or other type of sci-fi. So, you know, maybe this is why humans are acting like morons. I don't know. But, like, some self-conservation would have been in order. So, he decides to call a conference while next to the ship. And then he sends an away team on the cube. Again, like, why is he doing any of this? This is just bizarre. You do not even have the basic minimum amount of information about this alien species that literally everyone is warning you that they're dangerous. I mean, what he could have done is seek out other inhabited planets from that area and talk to the locals and gather some, you know, at least basic minimum amount of information before trying to board them. But no, like, you know, luckily enough, it happens that the Borg operate in mysterious ways and they just ignore the Federation boarding party upon their vessel, which is probably because they do not view them as any type of threat. They literally do not care. And they find out that Borg technology does allow them to regenerate, and all the damage that they did has now been regenerated, and the ship is made whole again. And guess what? They decide to re-attack the Enterprise. And now Picard decides, oh, well, maybe it's a good thing to put some distance between that abomination and ourselves. So now they're running from the abominable Xenos, and they're finding out, it's like, oh, they're actually faster than us. Oh, our weapons don't work. It's almost as if the space entity that put them in the shithole knew what it was doing. It's almost as if, like, if I were to meet God, and I would argue with God and say, you know what, God? Like, anything you throw my way, I can just deflect. Like, there is nothing you can do to me, you know? And you're challenging God with your hubris and your arrogance. And then when God goes like, okay, fine, and he puts you someplace, instead of raising your guard up and being like, okay, well, maybe I did fuck it up by challenging this, cosmic entity, you're like, nah, oh, look, a nice squiggly thing, let me go talk to it. It's like, oh, God, this episode was just sublime. Just sublime, because finally the Federation had their arrogance be TFO'd. And I think like the series from this point starts becoming a little bit more reasonable. And despite the fact that Star Trek throughout the Next Generation is nothing but hippie propaganda, what I see on screen is that peace is making the Federation not only weak, but retarded. While conflict and war is actually making the Federation strong and based. I mean, if I was a person under the Federation, I would feel far more safe during the time that the Federation is at war than the time that the Federation is at peace. Simply because I know I'm not being run by idiots. And by the way, if I was to make the Borg, I would have conquered the Federation in any part of Star Trek. Like, the way the Borg is described is that every single drone is faster, smarter, more agile, and just overall better than any life form that the Federation has. Just one drone. One drone has access to the knowledge of the entire collective. They can solve mathematical calculations in nanoseconds. They could lift trucks with one hand if they wanted to. So what would you do with that resource? Let's say you attack the Federation and by some plot armor they manage to deflect your attacks. All you would have to do is to take advantage of the ideology that the Federation pushes forward. All you have to do is to say we come in peace and we just want to live under the Federation. What would happen is that if they do the dumb mistake and allow you, because they're tolerant and they embrace alien life regardless of the culture they come from, they would allow the Borg to settle on various Federation planets. Which means that these Borg drones could then look for a job in various fields. Because of their abilities, they would excel better than any other Federation species. And they would get into position of power into various key functions, such as military, such as governance, such as defense, such as science. Like literally every product that you would have would probably be also equipped with a Borg device which could shut it down whenever the Borg wanted to. And once you co-opt the Federation, you subvert it from within, then you attack. And once you're in control of the defense, once you're in control of the military, it's very easy to sabotage it from inside. See, if I was the Borg Queen, not only would I have pretty boobies, but I would also manage to destroy the Federation in just a couple of decades. If not, I would just take my time because, again, like the Borg do not die from old age. They just regenerate and they survive perpetuum. So, no, like, this entire show, it's really nice and wholesome, but when you apply some cold hard logic to it, nothing adds up. But anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.